Hey everyone, and welcome to this Next Generation SEO Search Rankings in 2025 webinar with the NP Digital Technology team. We're here to give you the best next gen SEO tactics today, and I will be your host for today. And let's jump into it. This is our co-founder, Neil Patel. Our co-founder has founded NP Digital, Ubersuggest, Crazy Egg, Kissmetrics, Quicksprout, and HelloBar. Our co-founder has also had the esteemed privilege of working with companies like Amazon, NBC, GM, HP, Viacom to grow their revenue. He's also had the privilege of driving over 1 billion visitors to his clients' websites. Also has the privilege of working with Facebook, Microsoft, eBay, Yahoo, Salesforce, and Intuit, right? And our founder was also recognized as a top 100 entrepreneur under the age of 30 by President Obama. So huge accolades. And the reason why this is relevant is because we've taken all of these insights, having worked with all of these huge brands, and brought it into Ubersuggest and brought it into NP Digital Technology. And that's why it's so relevant, right? So, who's NP Digital? As we said, we deliver search and performance marketing, consulting, and implementation services for over 950 clients worldwide, over 750 employees, over 7 countries. We have numerous awards, accolades, and recognitions industry-wide, and we have some well-known brands that we serve as clients. And NP Digital Technology is a subsection or subsidiary of NP Digital, where we handle all the technology side of things. And we have over 5.2 million users, with over uh, from small businesses to enterprises to beyond. You can see some logos there on the right from Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Nike, Netflix, Tesla, Pfizer, just to name a few who actually use our services on Ubersuggest to answer the public. So our main goal has always been to bring technology that serves the search space in a meaningful way, in a really affordable price that could be used by everyone. Now, with that said, let's talk about the search revolution, right? Right now, there's about 5 billion searches that happen every single day across all search engines, right? This staggering number highlights the immense opportunity within the search landscape. Capturing even a fraction of these searches can significantly improve your business from a revenue standpoint. Uh, and the next important thing is attention is currency. In the digital age that we currently live in, attention is the most important and most valuable commodity. Effective SEO and content marketing is essentially super important to capture some of that attention and retain it for your business. Now, with the changing rules that are ever present in the marketplace, algorithms and strategies that worked about 2 years ago no longer work. Even a year ago no longer work, right? So staying ahead of the curve requires continuous learning and adaptation, which we're going to talk about. Now, let's talk about overcoming SEO complexity. SEO is super complex. Everyone knows about it. And especially in 2025, it is the most complex it has ever been before, right? So you need the right tools, the right strategies, the right adaptations to basically survive and thrive in the SERPs in 2025. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's talk about this. Ubersuggest Answer the Public has two specific versions. One is the public version, the other one is the private version, right? And its main goal is to optimize your marketing and just get you the best results, right? To harness data to essentially drive your creativity to help you perform better from a brand marketing standpoint. We have about 30 billion keywords, 249 different countries with 185 geolocation databases, 900 million domain profiles, 50 trillion rows of backlinks, 800 million mobile SERP features that we've kind of instituted, and then 500 terabytes of raw data that we have turned into a simple interface for you to use at any time. So that is in a nutshell what we provide. And why is this relevant, right? And this is a quote from Sundar Pichai, who is the Chief Executive Officer for Alphabet and has been for several years now. And he says, anytime you type in a keyword, as Google, we have gone and stored copies of billions of pages in our index. We take the keyword and match it against the pages, their pages, and rank them based on 200 plus signals like relevance, popularity, and how other people are using that specific piece of content. And that's why SEO is so relevant. There's about 5 billion keywords, 5 billion searches, sorry, that happens every single day that you can capture if you can essentially do the proper SEO in 2025. And that's what this entire webinar is about. That's what it's for, to essentially tackle how you get the most out of SEO. A lot has changed in the last year and a half, and that starts with the rapid algorithm changes, right? Google's AI-driven updates shape the landscape on a day-to-day basis, right? And then you also have emerging technologies like voice search, AR integration to basically optimize for innovative optimization techniques. There's also behavior shifts in how people search. Now, people require personalized search experiences. Adaptive SEO strategies are required to match the demands of 2025. With that said, let's talk about today's agenda, right? We'll talk about the overview of search. We will also talk about the next generation SERP techniques, right, to kind of start ranking and working in organic traffic. You want to work on optimizing your rankings and how to actually execute that. And then we will talk about the Ubersuggest platforms and see how you can use that to accelerate your organic traffic. With that said, let's talk about the major SERP trends that are happening in SEO in 2025. Now, number one, AI-driven content. Whether you're using AI-driven content or not, a lot of your competitors are, and you need to be able to compete with them and outrank them. The hint is you do not want to put more machine-generated content, and it's not recommended that you do that. We'll talk about other ways to kind of capture that, but you do not want to be one more person putting out AI content. Next, voice optimization. Conversational keywords demand natural language focused content and SERP features to match, and this is going to help you tremendously with that. Next, you have double EAT 2.0. That's a term that I coined last week, and I know double EAT is a normal SEO term, but this is going to help understand and help you kind of stay ahead of the curve. And we'll talk about this in great detail. With the enhanced algorithms, right, they assess expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, and also experience, first party experience. But there's a lot else going on there, and we'll talk about that. Next, we have visual search. Image and video search have actually become more crucial as time passes, and everyone also has a handheld device. That is going to become a huge factor going forward into the future. So let's talk about AI search. AI search is a new frontier. It isn't something that was happening last week. It's actually here. It's here right now. So let's talk about that. AI overviews essentially summarizes SERP features and SERP pages, search engine results pages, and essentially takes away traffic from websites that originally wrote the content for that specific topic, right? So you have to be able to adapt to that, and that's super important. Also, search generative experiences are shaping how users interact with search engines, especially Google. And then also there is a visibility shift in terms of content, right? You want to optimize your content not just for user experience, but also AI comprehension. And that goes on the code level, on the tech level, which we'll talk about in greater detail as time passes. But that is something that becomes crucial for rankings as time passes. So let's talk about some decline of shady tactics. So these are all some tactics that used to work back in the day, a couple of years ago. Things like keyword stuffing, now gets you penalized by sophisticated algorithms. Link farms, artificial link building schemes that get detected and devalued. The analogy that I like to use usually is that, if you can go find a link farm and buy links, Google can find link farms and ban them. Like they're a multi-trillion-dollar company. They can figure out where to find link farms. If you can use Google to find the link farms and buy links, they can use the same technology to essentially find and devalue those links. So there's that. Uh, Meta tag manipulation. If you have an overemphasis on meta tags, they lose significance in their rankings, and we'll talk more about this as time passes in this webinar. So let's talk about what is happening right now, right? So there is an emergence of Google search features, right? And I've listed out everything on the right side there. So everything from answer cards to maps to Twitter cards to top stories to people also ask to carousel posts to product listed ads to video links to essentially finance images, site links, video cards, even video boxes that appear on SERPs, right? There's also newer things like knowledge panels 2.0. Pretty much, they're powered by AI and they dominate SERPs right now, especially for biographical searches or informational searches. There's also video carousels where people can essentially go down and right below that you have like 4 listings of YouTube videos or other video related content. There's also feature snippets, which show up on the people also ask feature. So there's more snippets also coming out every day, right? As Google evolves, there's more snippets coming out every day. So that's a huge factor here. Let's also talk about the multimedia and rich snippets in greater detail. So there are video snippets, infographical snippets. There's also featured snippets that optimize for position 0 in search engine results. And there's also people also ask, right, where you're answering really targeted questions within your content. And that makes a huge impact. Now, the key factor is that due to the evolution of search, these rich snippets and multimedia snippets have gone from being an optional, nice to have feature for your website to being a crucial part of your website to stay ahead of the SERP updates that are happening. So you do not want to take these lightly. And if your website does not have this, I would highly recommend that you go ahead and execute this week. You do not want to wait. Now, a lot of times what ends up happening is that with SEO specifically, there's a lot of ambiguity in terms of goals, right? So people set goals of like, hey, I want to have 100,000 backlinks here, 100,000 visits there, 100,000 keywords here, and it's really ambiguous, and that's why a lot of SEO campaigns die on the vine, so to speak. So we use a framework. The framework is called a SMART SEO framework, and the way you do this is that you want to clearly define a specific goal, right? Such as a specific SEO target, such as X number of keywords, X number of backlinks, X number of visits, X number of, what we call short tail keywords. And that's like number one. Number two, you want to establish measurable, quantifiable metrics for success. So, for example, let's just say you get 30,000 visits a month from Google. Your goal now has to be, say, 40,000, right? Not 400,000. You want to aim for 40,000, then 50,000, and then eventually time passes, you're able to increase that. Next, achievable. Like I said, you want to set realistic goals based on the resources and capabilities of your business and your company and yourself, whether you're inside a business, whether you're working on your business or you're an employee, all that matters. So you do not want to exceed the available resources and set super high goals. Next, relevant. You want to make sure that the SEO objectives that you have are helpful to your overall business, right? So for example, let's just say you run AdWords campaigns, right? And 70% of your keywords are useless, 30% of your keywords give you most of the conversions, and you want to rank for those 30% of keywords on SEO specific reasons. And that is a worthwhile, relevant goal to have for your business. Because if you can get maybe 10% more SEO traffic for those chosen keywords that drive your conversions, that means you get a 10% increase in your business revenue, which is a huge, measurable, relevant goal. Next, time bound, right? Time bound is to make sure you establish deadlines for that goal to be achieved in a reasonable time frame, right? So you don't want to say, hey, I'm going to do this in 2 days. That's too much. You want to make sure the goal has a relevant time bound timeline, right? So this would be my recommendation. A lot of times, users do not set this expectation, and that's why a lot of SEO campaigns they fail or they lose momentum, etc. But by doing this, and you do this consistently every month or every quarter, and you keep moving forward with the SMART goals, and that's how you keep your SEO campaign going. Next, you want to actually leverage user-generated content, right? This is for e-commerce businesses, informational businesses, etc. So let's talk about this. You want to encourage reviews. So you want to use like Yotpo and Trustpilot and those kind of systems to gather authentic user feedback that you can then use on your website in different places, whether it's on the review page, whether it's in other pages, etc. There is also the ability to integrate on-site communities. There's a lot of Slack communities these days, Discord communities, etc., and that creates this bond with the brand that is harder to break, right? Social media engagement. Like I said, if your brand does not have a social media profile on every single platform and you're not engaging with that community on all platforms, and you're doing yourself a huge disservice. And this is going to help you tremendously from an SEO standpoint as well. And then lastly, user-generated content, right? So you want to showcase user content to boost credibility and just a lot of positive signals that are relevant in 2025. Right? There's nobody who's going to sell your brand better than someone who is a customer and they're happy and they're raving about the brand, right? There's no one who can sell your brand better. So that's why the UGC curation is so important. Next, the content types that work in 2025, right? From a purely SEO standpoint. Number one, topical clusters. Interlink content around core themes. So if you have specific short tail keywords that you're going after, you want to build topical clusters that essentially cover that. Next, pillar pages. You want to build comprehensive guides on broader topics and broader keywords that you don't currently rank for, but which for that you do want to rank for. Next, short form content, right? Such as answering simple questions. Short form content includes Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, Facebook Shorts, you name it. Short form content that takes a huge amount of content from your website or an article or a pillar page and breaks it down into maybe 3 or 4 different shorts that you can then put out to increase the visibility of that specific content that you're looking for there to get rankings for. And then lastly, long form content, right? This could be in-depth articles for complex keywords. This could be 5,000 word articles, 2,500 word articles that cover specific complex topics, such as you may have seen these examples on neilpatel.com, such as we've interviewed X amount of marketers, or we've studied 20,000 ads on Facebook, and this is what we found. Things of that nature, those work really, really well because they're tackling really complex topics, and that's essentially what's happening there. All right, let's jump into voice search optimization techniques. So what you want to be doing to rank for voice search specifically on mobile devices is that you want to use conversational keywords. You want to use natural language phrases and terminologies that may not show up in writing, but will show up in conversations, especially in normal human being conversations that are related to your marketplace and vertical. Now, the best way to think about this is in every single market, there are unique words and phrases that only show up for your specific marketplace, such as in finance, there are things like PE ratio and profit and loss statements and balance sheet, etc. Now, those terms do not show up in knitting, for example, or any of those variations of arts and crafts, as an example. So, you want to be using those conversational unique keywords that are unique to your marketplace. Next, you want to optimize for questions. You want to figure out the top FAQs in your specific marketplace, and you want to figure out how to structure the specific pieces of content that you're putting out, the specific keywords and answers to those questions. And that's going to help you rank for a lot of, shall we say, people also asked sections on Google. Next, local SEO focus, right? A lot of voice search centers around restaurants near me, services near me, salons near me, etc. And there's also a lot of location-based searches as it relates to SEO. Now, if you want to use Uber Suggest for this, it's wonderful to kind of find local keywords, but that's what you want to be doing from a conversational local SEO standpoint. Next, mobile responsiveness. You want to ensure that your website has a seamless mobile experience for voice users because most of them are using their phones to browse the internet. And then if they land on your website, and if your website does not load for mobile, then that's going to be really bad for them. Next, we want to establish double EAT 2.0. You want to establish digital authority. And the way that you do this is you want to have author credentials. So you want to make sure to showcase expert contributors and their qualifications and accolades, right? So let's talk about this. WEAT is expertise, experience, authority, and trustworthiness, right? Now, it's not enough just to do that. Not to say those are uh, not important, they're super important, but you want to go beyond that. And that's what these four pillars are for. So, again, author credentials. You want to make sure to find expert contributors who know what the topic is and their expert opinion is vetted and they have qualifications and accolades to talk about this. Next, you have citation building. You want to earn mentions from the content that you publish from authoritative industry sources. If you want to find some of these sources, you want to use Google News, Google Scholar. Uh, and there's a lot of peer-reviewed papers, so you can essentially go ahead and request that they review your content. And it is helpful to have more citations to your content. The more citations you have, the more trust your original content piece has. Next, user trust signals. You want to implement reviews, comments, testimonials, trust badges, anything that establishes trust signals, right? And positive comments go a long way, whether it's posted on social media or anywhere else, it goes a long way to what's happening. Next, you have fact verification. You want to ensure that the content that you are putting out is verified facts and there are myriad of sources backing up the fact, right? So the more accurate your facts are in your pieces of content, the better you're going to do from a ranking standpoint long term. That's the keyword, long term. So there's that. Next, here's some advanced SEO best practices, which if you are not executing, then you definitely want to take a look at. Number one, schema markup. You want to implement structured data for rich snippets. Now, if you have less than two rich snippets on specific pages, it is way too little. So you want to implement schema markup and go ahead and get a lot of rich snippets executed. Next, mobile first indexing. If your website is not mobile first, then you are losing a lot of short-term and long-term traffic and rankings. So the best way to execute this is you can work with a dev who can make sure your website is mobile first. Next, page speed optimization. You want to make sure that the website that you have has a really good web host. It loads really fast and it loads fast compared to your competitors. That's something a lot of people miss, right? So they might take their website, put it on some search tools, and you can get the data. And obviously, you can do this on Ubersuggest. If you run a site audit, you will get this data from a page speed optimization standpoint, how it stacks up against the competitors. But not only do you want to do that, you also want to put in your competitor, your best competitor, and see how fast their website loads versus your website, right? So your website might load faster than the normal average website, but if it doesn't load faster than your competitors, then that's a important point to kind of tackle. Next, HTTPS implementation. Again, this is super basic. If your website is HTTP versus HTTPS, you want to make sure your website is HTTPS. And if you speak with your web host, they can figure this out with you, and it should be pretty simple to execute this. Next, building high quality backlinks at scale. Now, here's the quickest way to go about doing this. This is probably not the best way, but uh, this is kind of what's working in 2025 and what is recommended, right? So first off, you want to create link-worthy content. You want to create unique and valuable resources that's backed up with data, citations, expert quotes. Just put in as much value as you can in the content that will be useful to your marketplace, to your vertical, to your segment of a market. Next, you want to reach out and essentially create link partnerships with influencers, industry experts, popular websites, websites that are really trusted across the marketplace, and ask them to link back to you. And then when you're done with the content, obviously you want to publish that across multiple social media channels, whether it's email, whether it's all of the social media sources from Facebook, Instagram, etc. And by doing this, you start getting more traction. And not only do you want to build links at one time, you want to keep building it over a period of time. So what happens a lot of times is people try to build links for a week to a new piece of content and then they forget about that piece of content. It doesn't work like that. You want to keep building links to that really valuable piece of content that you built over the entirety of the year. And that's when you kind of start getting a lot of valuable value backed from a backlink standpoint. Next, local search, right? So if you don't have this in your local business, you definitely want to make sure that you're having a list of basics, right? So number one is a Google business profile. This is super important to optimize for you to maximize visibility for your local business. Next, you essentially want to make sure you build local citations and you want to ensure that you have NAP across directories. So this is super basic, but you definitely want to do this and have to do this. You will be surprised how many businesses do not have this. And yeah, that's super important. Um, Now, NAP, for people who don't know, NAP is name, address, phone number, right? Name, address, phone number, consistency across all platforms. This is an important signal that Google uses to make sure that your business is legitimate and on point, right? Next is reviews. You want to encourage reviewers on all platforms. Not only do you want to encourage them, you also want to respond back to positive or negative reviews to let people know that you are there, you are listening, you are on point, pretty much. So that's kind of what's happening there. Next, you have local, hyperlocal keywords, right? Specific neighborhoods, landmarks, uh, counties, districts, makes a huge difference. So if you have hyperlocal keywords targeted on hyperlocal pages, it's going to make a huge difference in the long term. So that's that. Now, omni-channel SEO, winning beyond Google. So let's talk about this. Now, let's just pretend that you've gone ahead and optimized everything the way that we have talked about on this webinar. And if you ever need anything else at all, just email us at support@ubersuggest.com and we are there to help you out in any way, shape, or form that we can with your SEO and anything related to Ubersuggest. Now, let's just pretend that you've gone ahead and actually executed everything we've talked about today. You still have a lot of other things that you could be doing, such as optimizing your website for Bing, right? And optimizing for YouTube SEO. You know, you can optimize your video content for the second largest search engine in the world. And then you have LinkedIn visibility. A lot of websites on the B2C side doesn't make a lot of sense to use LinkedIn, but a lot of B2B websites definitely makes a lot of sense to use LinkedIn. And that's kind of what's happening there. And then lastly, TikTok search. You can also optimize for rising stars on social search, right? Now, why is this relevant? If you were to get more visibility on all these platforms, Google's also going to award you more search traffic because of your visibility on other platforms, right? Uh, I don't call it from a marketing standpoint, from a visibility standpoint, definitely. It goes a long, long way. With that said, yeah, next thing you also want to look into is the subconscious side of things, right? A lot of folks, what they fail to understand is 90% of decisions are shaped by our subconscious mind, right? Often overlooked in traditional market research, traditional marketing in general, etc. And a lot of final decisions and actions are shaped emotionally, right? Through top patterns, associations, habits, etc., etc. Personal relevance and memory play a crucial part in decision-making processes for customers, right? Now, if you were to only do the mechanical side of marketing and all the technical side of marketing, then you miss out on the other side, which is consumer behavior, and traditional methods only like crash the surface when it comes to like consumer behavior and whatnot. So let's talk about a little bit more in depth um, from a content standpoint, right? You want to understand desires, deep desires that resonate with your audience. You want to craft content that resonates on a subconscious level that essentially connects and resonates with the needs and wants of your customer. Now, by doing this, this also boosts engagement metrics. You create emotional resonance with your content that keeps your visitors coming back. It also helps you improve your search rankings long term, right? So, main key point here is that, and everyone probably has faced this before, where they watch a movie and the movie is super technical, it's amazing, uh, technically super sound, but you just don't connect with the movie. Right? Like, this doesn't work for you from a connection standpoint. It's like you couldn't see yourself in there. It didn't just emotionally connect with you, right? Now, let's think about it from another standpoint, right? There's other movies, right, that maybe logically a lot of times the plot doesn't even make sense. Uh, a lot of supernatural, magical adventure movies, logically they don't make sense, but they put so many emotional elements and they pull on the heartstrings and whatnot to the point where it's like your favorite movie, but you just can't explain why you like it. You know what I mean? You just do, you just love it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the difference, usually between academic content that's super logical, realistic, and works in the real world to like emotional content that may not probably fit reality, but you just love it because it just connects with you emotionally. So our recommendation here is to not just create content that's logically sound, has all the citations, has all the experts, has everything kind of built into it with all the checklists filled out, where it is trustworthy, it has first person experience, the expertise is on point, the trust is on point. You also want to layer on top the emotional side of things to make sure it connects emotionally with the customers and the users that you're serving. And that's going to make a huge difference long term. Again, long term is the name of the game. So let's talk about this. So, neural optimized user journeys. Ideally, what you're looking for is you want to create content that has intrinsic and intuitive connections with your users. You want to design user flows in your funnel to make sure it feels natural and compelling. And this might take a lot of time to create, but if it's your business and it is something that you're going to work with long term, doing this is worth executing. Next, you want to increase click-through rates, placement of the CTA. You want to make it based off of neural insights. You can use tools like Hotjar to do this, or Crazy Egg, obviously, to kind of go ahead and do this. And then you also want to extend the session duration. You want to make sure the users are engaged longer. So if the content's super long, you can break it up into multiple paragraphs, for example, add some images to make it more compelling. Just making the design of the content more friendly so more people can spend more time on it. Versus if it's just a huge block of text, it doesn't matter how valuable the information is a lot of times. It is not presented in a way that's compelling enough from a user standpoint to kind of stay and read, right? So there's that. Next, contextual content across platforms. So YouTube is perfect for long-term and long-form storytelling, right? You can create in-depth, memorable content. It works really well. Instagram is perfect for visual highlights, eye-catchy moments. On Instagram, for example, most movies, when they do their marketing, they release this poster. Usually, the poster is called a first look most of the time, and it's a freeze frame of a 3-hour movie, right? It's a freeze frame of the best moment in a 3-hour movie, right? And Instagram is perfect for moments like that. Next, you have TikTok. And TikTok is perfect for sound bites and addictive content that's like super short. It's 20 seconds, but something magical happens within those 20 seconds, right? So you put out something that's like really magical and it sticks and it goes viral and it's all over TikTok. It could be something really funny or really informative or really insightful, really valuable, etc. So there's that. Next, on LinkedIn, you want to share industry relevant takeaways and insights, professional insights, as it relates to B2B specifically, right? So that's kind of what works on LinkedIn. And yeah, you want to create contextual content on platforms that matter. So these are some of the ones that do. Now, user generated content is another huge powerhouse for SEO. So technically, you can definitely create content as the company, as the brand. But if you have your customers create content for you, they go a long way. So if it's on TikTok, short form videos of customers talking about a product, you may have seen this a lot on TikTok where, uh, a gentleman or a lady is talking about a specific product and how great it is and how they're using it and whatnot. It works really well long term. So that's kind of that. Next, you have Reddit communities, uh, community driven discussions to shape search keywords long term. That works really well. Um, Again, on Instagram, you want to get your best customers and talk about uh, the uniqueness of your product and just visually show how the product looks and how it feels and whatnot. And that works really well to disrupt the traditional search patterns in a marketplace. And then YouTube, as we talked about, a lot of times before customers make a decision, they go to YouTube to browse around. They'll see the product, see how it works, etc. And then they go make a purchase, right? And if you can have a montage of your best customers talking about your best products and it's a video on YouTube, that's gonna do you a world of good, right? From an SEO standpoint and from a revenue standpoint as well. So let's also talk about the March 2025 core update that happened, and that got released March 13th, and it was completed March 27th, right? So again, this was another AI-driven update where Google focused on content quality over quantity. The emphasis was on creator content versus low quality content. Uh, they also updated their reputation policy to expand their fight against parasite SEO tactics. Jump into a Uber Suggest demo, right? So the way usually Uber Suggest works is you go into Uber Suggest, start with a broad topic in your vertical. It could be marketing, it could be beauty, it could be sleep, it could be anything. Uber Suggest gives you an analysis of keyword suggestions and recommendations for content opportunities. Then you can also use it to evaluate your biggest competitors and their content, identifying gaps and improvements in areas that are affecting your rankings. You can also use it to generate content ideas. And we're going to take a look at this in just a moment in a quick demo. So I'm going to exit out of the presentation and I'm going to switch my screen to essentially show you a quick demo of Uber Suggest. So let's talk about this. So this is Uber Suggest, right? And what you may notice is that I'm going to cover some benefits Uber suggests that you may not have thought about, and we'll do that real quickly, right? So first thing you want to do when you get into Uber Suggest is create your dashboard for a specific project. Now you can see this is neilpatel.com. That's that. And you can see all the recommendations that populate. You can also see the progress made 2 weeks, a month, last month, 6 months, 12 months, all time. You can also connect your Google Search Console. You can also connect your Google Analytics, right? So that's a huge way to kind of understand value for traffic. You can also see if your traffic rankings are going up, if you're going down. You can also see the traffic value. You can see the number of backlinks. You can also see on-page SEO, etc. Now, the key value that we have at Ubersuggest is the visitor tracking or the competitor tracking here. So you are tracking your domain against competitors. And so this is like the key value that you see, right? So what I've done over here is I've just kind of quickly um, pulled up the competitors, and you can see neilpatel.com has a competitor called WordStream, and you can see the keyword gap between WordStream and neilpatel.com, and we have about 200,000 keywords that we have a gap that we do not target that WordStream is targeting. Right, same thing with Forbes. Forbes has 13 million keywords that neilpatel.com does not target, but that's an opportunity. Same thing here. Search Engine Journal has 113,000 keywords that neilpatel.com does not target. Now, what you'll notice is you don't have to go and target all these keywords. You can target a top 100 even. So it's not that you have to go and target all these keywords. It's easy to kind of go ahead and target just a fraction of that. So that's kind of the main thing. So top 100 from your competitors is a great place to start when it comes to traffic. Now, let's close this. Let's go to another feature. So like we said, beauty is a wonderful keyword, right? Or sleep. So let's do that. So sleep is a beautiful keyword. You can see the search volume, search difficulty, paid difficulty, search intent, audience, who is actually clicking, who isn't clicking, what's the age range, the search history, that has volume history, the keyword ideas, the content ideas, etc. in the keyword overview. Now, this is a general overview of the keyword. You can also use the other features we have, such as the keyword ideas. So you can search by keywords, you can search by website to essentially figure out how much traffic website's getting, the trends, are they going up, are they going down? So for now, I'm going to do Forbes.com as an example. So you can search by website and you can see what are the keywords they're going after currently, what keywords you could go after using a domain. The key also here is that you can go for easy keywords. You can filter out volume, so you don't have to go for keywords with that much volume as an example. So you can see these are keywords that have virtually not much competition, but really decent amount of search volume, right? And we got that within what, 30 seconds, right? So that's super valuable feature with Ubersuggest. And then let's go to the next feature, which is competitor analysis, similar website analysis. So I'm going to do Forbes again. And you can see over here, as soon as I did Forbes, the similar website feature helps you quickly and quietly figure out the other competitors in the same marketplace and how much traffic they get versus how much traffic we get, and etc. So let's wait for that to load for a moment. And you can see some SEO tips as that pops up, but we'll give it a couple seconds. And voila, we are here. So you can see all the competitors for a chosen domain. You can see all the keyword gap analysis for your competitors as well. You don't even have to track them via rank tracking. You can easily just put their URL into similar websites, and you can easily see the keyword gap analysis for any competitors of yours. It's super easy, super simple, super valuable. Now, let's go back over here. So the next feature I would like to walk you through is the site audit. Site audit, as you can see, it tracks about 10,000 pages in a given crawl. Again, if you were to click on the SEO issues, you can basically see the issues and what you have to fix. And then when it's fixed, you can come back and tick the box and it will actually recrawl the website to kind of find more issues for you to fix. And it's a super integral part of Ubersuggest. Next, we also have content ideas. So ideally, you want to put broad topics into content ideas, and it will tell you what is the type of content that is working, getting shared across in the marketplace, etc. So for here, I'm going to do marketing as an example. And we're going to see a bunch of articles that work really, really well. They have a lot of backlinks, they have a lot of shares. So this gives you content ideas to work off of and pattern your content off of, which has a good chance of getting a lot of traction. So that's the content ideas feature. The next feature is traffic analyzer, like we talked about. So we can do neilpatel.com, for example, and you can see all of the data associated with the traffic, what's working, what's not working, etc. You can also click on top pages by traffic and see all of our highest traffic pages. You can also see the same traffic in different countries, like we talked about. So how does neilpatel.com rank in Indonesia, for example, versus Brazil versus the United States? So what are the pages that are ranking in those specific countries, etc. So it's super valuable information. Next, like we talked about, we have the similar website and great features here. Next, we talked about the traffic overview, so that's kind of that. The next one here is the um, top pages by traffic, like we talked about, so we addressed that. And then lastly, we also have the backlink overview. So backlink overview is putting a website down and figuring out where their referral traffic comes from, where their domains, the backlinks come from. You can also download all the follow links, the no follow links. The no follow links are pretty useless, so you don't really want to work with that. But the follow links you can, and you can just click on export and you will get uh, pretty much all of your competitors' backlinks, the most valuable ones. You can also filter through by referring domain, a lot of different factors. So it's super useful here. And then the next feature that I would like to walk you through is the backlink opportunities feature. So you can enter neilpatel.com and Forbes here and then essentially hit search and you will essentially have the list of referring domains that Forbes has that neilpatel.com does not have, right? Which is another key, super valuable indicator to go after backlinks that you have an opportunity for and what you could be doing, right? And this could be any number of backlink, any number of competitors. And it's super useful to kind of have this repository of backlinks that your competitors have that you do not have. So you can constantly be working at getting more backlinks. Next feature is here. It's in the account and billing section. So obviously you have all of the billing information, all your account information, but this is the thing that most people do not see or understand. If you click on notifications and if you were to switch on your ranking alerts, your site audit alerts, and your keyword opportunity alerts, you will essentially have emails coming to you 3 times a week about your rankings, about your site audits, about your keyword opportunities. Now, the keyword opportunities come from the SEO opportunities tab. We've talked about this numerous times in other webinars, but essentially, an SEO campaign needs the SEO opportunities tab to survive. It shows you all the new things that you could be doing as a website owner to improve your SEO on a day-to-day basis. And when you're just done with the task, you can just mark it as complete, and then the SEO opportunities tab will essentially populate another recommendation for you. Completely automated, based on the data, based on the market data, and it's super valuable to you right there. And yeah, we've talked about the backlink overview. And then also we have this knowledge base. So if you look at the left-hand bottom corner of Ubersuggest, you'll see that the knowledge base is prevalent. I think if I'm not mistaken, we have thousands of articles to help you with everything from keyword research to managing your account to dashboard projects, etc. So it's super valuable. And then if you were to click on the support tab on the bottom left corner of Ubersuggest, you can submit a support ticket to our CS team, and they will be happy to help you with anything that you need help with. So thank you for going through this with me. I'm going to switch back to the slides. Let's go over some actionable next steps. So first thing that I recommend is to conduct Ubersuggest site audit. You want to identify and address critical SEO issues. These are going to be huge for you, short-term and long-term. Next, you want to develop your content strategy for the next quarter using the tools that we showed you on Ubersuggest just a moment ago. You also want to optimize for voice search and image search. You want to use some of the strategies that we've talked about today and execute them. You also want to set up automated monitoring, and this will allow you to leverage Ubersuggest tracking features for ongoing insights and support, essentially, to kind of keep your SEO campaign going short term and long term on a day-to-day basis. You have the right action steps that you're performing based on actionable data. Next, you have the Q&A session today. Obviously, please ask any questions you would like under the LinkedIn thread. And me, myself, and Iram from our team and the rest of our support team will be happy to help you in any way, shape, or form that we can with the right answers. And if we don't know the answer, we will find the answer for you, and it will be from a credible source. Apart from that, you are free to share with any insights that we may have missed on this webinar. Again, we're all here to learn from each other. And if you have any thoughts, please be sure to leave them in the comment section, and either we can help support that or provide insights of our own to kind of keep moving forward. Now, with that said, let's also talk about preparing for the SEO future. Main thing being, continuous learning is hugely important. As we've talked about previously, there are specific weeks where a lot of things happen, and the last couple of weeks have been one of those times where there's new things happening on a daily of algorithm changes and trends and updates and news, etc. The way you adapt to that is you figure out the strategies that work and you're ready to pivot when needed from an SEO standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, to do what works in that specific situation. Also, user-centric approach obviously is the most important piece. There might be strategies that change, there might be channels that change. What does matter though is you always prioritize your audience above everyone else and everything else. Lastly, please feel free to connect with us on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, the newsletter. And if you ever need anything, just email us at support@ubersuggest.com. Our entire support team is present to help you. Our entire customer success team is present to help you in any way, shape, or form that we can. And again, I thank you for your time. I know you're super busy and there's a lot going on. And we really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to be here with us. Again, you have the most amazing day and week ever. And again, contact us if you ever need anything. And yeah, thank you for your time. And this presentation obviously was made with love by the NP Digital Marketing team. So have a blessed and amazing day. And we will talk to you very shortly. Thank you.